Elsa Jeandedieu, I'm super happy that we're doing this, especially because I know that you are super busy these days. You said that you are fully booked until the end of the year and beyond.
Yes. I'm working on project for like April, May, so which is pretty amazing. I haven't been like always in this situation, so I really appreciate the fact that I'm busy. But at the same time, I have to be everywhere. I have only 2 hands and I have to be on site. I have to work on all the paperwork and all the orders and everything. So concept, meeting clients. So it's quite intense, and I'm a mother, so I also need to be at home and to see my son. And I also like to train. I think for me, like in order to keep a good balance, is to take some time as well, like off on the trail. So I need to find every week time for everything, and it's challenging.
How many times do you train?
I may go 3 times lunchtime at F45, and then I will probably train 3 to 4 times like on trail or road running. So it's quite a lot. I will usually run back home. So that's how I manage to run quite often, is that I work in Wangshukang.
Yeah.
And I have to go all the way up to the French School and then down to Bowen Road and back to Robinson Road, yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's like 11K. It's quite easy. It takes the same time as if I take transportation. Maybe not taxi, but yeah. So it's my way for me to kind of release all the, not negativity, but you know, sometimes you take a lot during the day. You have to work and rework on concept, and you have calls and this and that, and the frustration of not having enough time to think, to create. That's my daily frustration. And when I go for a run, most of the time I have this time for myself, and I have lots of ideas coming up. I can process more like differently, like information. So it's really for me so important to have that time before going back home.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean. Now I'm not able to run because I have to do a meniscus surgery 17th of October.
I did the same, yeah, painful, but you will be back.
Yeah, I think I was actually happy because I thought it was going to be ACL. So when they told me it's not the ligament, it's only the meniscus, I was like actually happy. And
can
then
fix it.
Yeah, and the doctors thought I was crazy because I was actually smiling when he said it was only meniscus, because I know the timings because I broke the ACL before. So anyway, no, it's going to be, I think end of the year I'm going to be back running again.
Okay.
And hopefully
I have good physio and surgeon and everything if you need.
I've
been through that, so I know.
I already booked with the surgeon, but the physio I am actually very open to any suggestions.
I can share.
When I moved to Hong Kong at the time, I opened the company Yeska, which is actually the production company of this podcast now, and running was probably what kept me sane.
Yeah,
and
same.
I'm not built for running because I have, let's say, a wide bone structure. So even when I'm skinny, I'm 195. When I'm skinny, I'm 95 kilos.
On your knees.
It's heavy on my knees.
Yeah.
But mentally, it was super important. I'm trying to do lame cardio now. So yesterday I was doing air bike and rowing in the gym, which for me mentally is super draining.
Yeah.
But I went home and I was like, I felt so relaxed. The funny thing that I know of you, because actually you told me, is that this is not your first podcast.
Yeah.
But on the other 2, you were actually talking about running.
Yeah.
So that's actually a really important part in your life.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned it as if it was a hobby, but it appears to me that it's actually something much more important than that.
I used to be a pretty good runner in Hong Kong. I say I used to. I'm still running, but I'm not at the same level as before. I used to spend like my life, like all of my time on trail. So it was going to the peak every day after work, training Saturday, Sunday, Lentao, doing like maybe 100K per week in average of just training.
100K.
Yeah. That was a lot. And then I was born with the wrong shaped meniscus. So I was not supposed to run, but I was born in a family that everyone was running or cycling or doing competition for something. And I'm just like the lazy one. But I feel like I've been shaped in a certain way. So then when I came to Hong Kong 16 years ago, I realized that being in a place at Hong Kong, which is so busy and intense, the energy is like next level.
Yeah.
You go in any other city, maybe you could compare it to New York, but I think Hong Kong is like very intense in a good way. I'm not saying in a bad way, but in order for me to survive in the city, I had to find an exit. I needed to find a peaceful place where I could release a little bit of that stress and this flow of energy. And I found that I was actually pretty good at running. I managed to deal with my knee for many, many years, did lots of competition. I did 9 times 100K. I did lots of competition, like it was ultra running, so it's 50,
Yes.
80, 100. And I prepared for UTMB, which is one of the biggest race in the world, which is in Chamonix, in the French Alps. And I broke my meniscus, I think, before the race, and I knew it. And the first downhill, the first 10K, I was just like in tears. I was in pain. You have no idea.
Yeah, but it's bone against bone.
It was, I couldn't run, but I couldn't stop either. So I did 100K.
No way.
Because I couldn't stop before. I knew I should have stopped. I should have not taken the start. But you know, when you prepare such a competition, you prepare yourself for like 2-3 years before. You do lots of other competition, but the goal is to get the point for UTMB, for that race or other races, like. And yeah, so I couldn't give up. So I did 100K. I was in tears for 100K. I suffered so much. And then after I did the surgery, and now I'm back, but not the same. Now life is a little bit different.
I am happy that you're back, but let me just ask you, I don't know if you're able to remember, what was that, the pushing force, or what was the reason that you said I could not stop?
My ego, probably. I've been in the situation on trail that it's quite often the case, not only for me, for a lot of people, when it's too hot, especially in Hong Kong, you can throw up during a race. And it's quite often the case, right? So you have stomach problem and everything. So you do your thing, and then eventually your body will come back to the normal shape during the race. So I've learned that life could be hard sometime. Sometimes you just have to hold on a little bit longer, and then you will be back.
Yes.
I've seen my body coming back from the death and being able to cross the finish line, like 100K, after being in such a bad situation that lasts maybe 1 hour where you're dead. You cannot put like a foot in front of the other, and then you take a little bit of salt, you manage to drink a little bit more, you manage to eat a little bit more. And usually you have teammate next to you that can kind of like guide you because you're not completely conscious about it. And then you can come back. And that's something where I can really put in parallel my experience on trail and my experience as a entrepreneur, that when you have your own company, as a woman as well, I think in a place like Hong Kong, I think it's really challenging. And I've been down many, many times with no money, no one to support me, I never ask anything to anyone. I'm very independent. I'm very strong-minded. And then when I was down at work, I was training a lot, and the training was keeping me busy, positive, and I was always looking forward. Okay, remember, when you're down in a race, you can always go further. So you just have to release your mind. You have to be confident. You have to pray. You have to do whatever you can to come back. And I was really applying that to my work.
Yes.
And yeah.
I can relate, but not at the same level. Now I feel like a little child. The longest I've run is half a marathon, and I'm not going to repeat it many times. I will do one full marathon just because I want to just be able to tick the box and to experience personally what happens around kilometer 30, 35. But I have experienced, let's say, maybe 1-2K in which you feel like crap. But then somehow it's like there is a different deposit of extra gasoline in the body that suddenly you tap into and then you wake up. No, it's super interesting. And for work as well, when I have a bad morning, I slept badly, my daughter Olivia came bad, woke me up 3-4 times and so on. And every time that I feel like crap in the morning, I know that if I can pull through, I bring down the RPMs of my activity maybe to 70%. Then in the afternoon, I rise again. You mentioned your journey as an entrepreneur here in Hong Kong. Let me ask you a little bit about the origins. I know it's very lame, and I try to avoid doing a chronological order of people's lives, but I wanted to ask you about the origins because you are very good at communicating what you do and your journey on Instagram, online. So studying you has been extremely full of information, but I don't know what was the origin of your arrival here. Why did you decide 16 years ago, we're talking about 2008, to change, coming from France, I imagine?
Yes.
What took you here?
I was born in Nîmes, south of France. Then when I was 18, moved to Paris, study art. And I was born in paint. my family was running a business. My grandparents, grandma, granddad was like everyone. There's a lot of artists in the family. Not artists like super famous artists, just like people doing lots of art, painting, doing sculpture and everything. And moved to Paris, knowing when I was 14, I knew what I wanted to do. So went to visit one of the school in Paris, and I was like, okay, this is the school I would really want to go. So it was to learn the peintre décorateur. So it's like special painter. So you learn this very traditional job in France, which you do imitation marble, imitation wood, and trompe-l'œil. It's a very old job, and I was so impressed by teacher doing like beautiful like imitation that you couldn't recognize if it was a real one or a fake one. And for me, I always wanted to work in like interior design, like close to decoration, like to see what interior designer could do. I'm obsessed with colors, I'm obsessed with design and beautiful apartments. So in Paris, I had lots of like beautiful projects that I worked on. And we had a couple of projects overseas. So we were working for like embassies and extremely rich clients like princesses, like Princess of Monaco in Monaco. We worked in London many times. And every time I was working overseas, like it was a job where you had to finish the work within a week or within 2 weeks. And that challenge was just like something that really like putting me on fire, the adrenaline of it. And I felt like having a normal life in a normal city when you're French, be in Paris, everything is so settled. I was kind of like not attracted by this life. So I was in relationship for 8 years. We had a dog. I was really like kind of like, my life was well organized until, and I felt not trapped because I decided everything, but I felt like at some point I just need adventure. I want to travel the world. My dream was to live in New York. And at that time I had friends that came to Hong Kong and they told me, you should come here because there's lots of opportunities for you. And I was like, okay, sure. So it took me maybe 6 months to decide, and then I left everything behind me. And I remember the feeling when I left. I had only 23 kilo of luggage, clothes. I sent 4 boxes of books about like mental being, like well-being, because I felt like my worst enemy would be myself. Yes. So I need to be prepared. Either if I don't feel good, like in Hong Kong, I just need to learn maybe a little bit deeper about myself and everything. So I will have those books to support me, and never left. I'm still here. So I think I was attracted by. When I look back, I was raised in a village, tiny village, where it was very quiet, and you had to take a car to go to the biggest city next to us, Nîmes, and it was beautiful. But I felt like when I moved to Paris, I understood that I really loved this active life where there's always something to do.
Yep.
And then moving to Hong Kong, I was like obsessed. Supermarkets are always open. You have 7-Eleven. Yeah, everything is open. You can party. I used to party like every night after work. And I remember going to the Mint like on Hollywood Road.
You were going to Mint?
Yeah, Tuesday nights, partying with my friends, having drinks all the time. And then it's funny how like, because here it's like a little bit too much in terms of parties, then I start trail running because I needed to have a more balanced life. Yes. Because I was obsessed with like party as well. So it's everything. When I put things together, you realize that the person I am today have been shaped by Hong Kong.
Yes.
And I'm proud of myself for staying here for that long because I've been learning so much about myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an addictive place.
It is.
Even though it is not the same, maybe because my perception is different because maybe I have changed. I think I'm following probably with different length of periods, but something similar as you just described. It's, for me, going back to Madrid, for example, would be going back to a little town full of comfort.
Yeah.
Whereas when I went from Oviedo, north coast of Spain, to Madrid, I thought I was going to the big city. Now going back there seems like I am lacking some type of spice. And I don't know if I could handle it much more than what Hong Kong offers because life here gets very dense. I like to say you could do things from 6:30 or 6 up until late, very late, and trying to walk that back is difficult. The only, in my opinion, sane thing to do is, at least in my case, is this transition into family life. Parent in which nature and I think biology is pulling you to a different type of a schedule. Now waking up earlier makes more sense. Now instead of just talking to strangers, you realize that the conversation with your little one is more interesting than that one. But still, at the beginning I didn't understand why not everyone enjoyed this, and then I arrived to the conclusion that probably you need to be a certain type of person to also enjoy the city. Something that grabs the bull by the horns and wants to ride it. In your case, you are, as I mentioned before, it was lovely trying to study you. One of the beautiful things of the podcast is that you get to really study someone with a justification, and Instagram is the perfect medium. If it wasn't for Instagram, I should have 4 people just doing research for me so I could actually put some questions together. This special ability that you and your team have for communication, is it something that you impose onto yourself, or is it something that comes from within that you know as an intuition that you have to do? Because some other artists, one of my best friends is a brand artist. He lives in Bangkok now. He's the opposite. He never publishes anything, and he still gets a lot of clients, by hearsay. But you are very active in this. When did you make this decision?
I think it came like slowly. I'm not into, I don't have enough time during the day to do everything. So I do have someone that manages my Instagram page and all the marketing because I just cannot be everywhere. It's a lot of, it's time consuming as well. But I understood very quickly that actually you have to be everywhere in order to get exposure and in order to show what you're doing. So for many years, they didn't know I was an artist. Now, because of Instagram, it's your portfolio. So people very quickly, they ask your name, they will Google your name. They will see, if you Google my name, you might see a few things. You will see maybe, I don't know, random posts, podcasts, videos here and there. You really have to dig, right, to find like everything, or you go to my website. But on Instagram, it's the easiest way. Like you just click on the name and then you have lots of pictures. So you have within one visual, you can clearly see who is the person, what she does, and the style. Yes. Whether you like it, you don't like it, but then at least you can really like very easily understand the mood of the person, like the which kind of artist it is. And I think It's not only Instagram, it's like Pinterest, which we realized that we managed to reach a lot of American designer through Pinterest. So
Alright.
Pinterest is a visual platform where designers, and not only designers, like any kind of person that are interested by Pinterest, they will type keywords, and these keywords will make selection of images. And by uploading like picture of artworks or texture or this or that with specific keywords, then we actually reaching like people, like very big people in the US, very big names. We found out that Kelly Wessler, she's one of the most, at the moment, like iconic designer and famous designer on Instagram especially. She found us.
Okay.
And we had a project, so we're working on it now. Whether we have the project will continue or not, I don't know. But just to get the exposure, just to get my artwork like
Out there, yes.
out there, it's amazing. So we very often like receive inquiries from designer based in New York, which I don't do any development in New York.
Yep.
So I understood that Instagram, Pinterest, any other platform are actually very powerful. It's a way for you to, maybe we're only based in Hong Kong, and I think people, they know me now, they know who I am in Hong Kong, but then in order to get more exposure, you need to reach other crowd, and then it's through other like those kind of platform. So I invest in it, like I do have someone working on it full time, and I think that's how we have to do, right? So
100%.
yeah.
Apart from getting the exposure, it's very interesting because I know from the conversation we had prior to this podcast that you are enjoying now this stage of your artistic life, because a lot of people know you from the mural work, from even from the Share a Smile project, and what you have done for many different businesses in the city. That was me when I used to paint graffiti when I was 15 years old. So
Nice.
I look at walls and I knew you from walking on the street. The same way I knew about Observer's work. Shout out to him. From just walking around. But then Instagram allowed me to go a little bit deeper and to even discover works that you had done in places that, I mean, without knowing that you were the artist behind, and knowing, let's say, the versatility that in which I want to dive a little bit later. I want to ask you a question regarding the Share Smiles project. What is your relationship with it now? Because in the podcast I had Elsa Jeandedieu, an amazing Indian lady that did the cereal, and I asked her when she was sitting, when you're sitting, I asked her, what is your relationship with cereal now? And she told me, for a year I couldn't even eat cereal after I did the cereal series.
Overdose.
and I can understand what she meant. What is your relationship with your early work? Do you love it? Do you hate it? How do you look at it from 2024?
I love it. Honestly, it was some sort of therapy, like when we work for Share a Smile. So let me put it in a context. So it was beginning of COVID. We were 3 artists in the studio. Just moved to my bigger studio in Wong Shu Kong, and bigger rent, more expensive. We moved there because before I was in Chongwan, very tiny studio. We moved there, and then COVID just like maybe hit just a month later or 2 months later. And you can imagine the level of anxiety like I had, but everyone else around. And I was like, okay, we need to find something, because right now, and it was Chinese New Year. So every year during Chinese New Year and after is very quiet, no project. Every year. So I was prepared. It was not new. What I was not prepared is COVID. And I felt like, okay, it's kind of like a very anxiety time for everyone, and anxious time, sorry. And I need to find something just to fill my brain and everyone else in the studio with positive things. So we have to keep ourselves busy. Let's just treat this as a project. We have a client. The client is the street, and we need to bring happiness. So we will practice. We will practice like to I wanted to spray paint a little bit more. I wanted to do like more like studio work, explore like new techniques and everything, because I never have time. I'm always working on site on something different. And I wanted my girls to do the same. And that's why we created this project, Share a Smile project. So, and then Share a Smile Hong Kong. And then from the artwork we were doing in the studio, we were like taking picture and then printing a lot of copies and pasting up everything in the street. So it was kind of like on multiple levels. It was amazing because we had to explore something new from within. Then we had to find something cool, then go inside, like go in different area in Hong Kong, Kozo Bay, Wan Chai, Hong Kong, like central, and we had fun pasting up everything. We had connection with the people as well. They were like curious to know what we were doing, and it was a fun project. And actually we went through like COVID time without any problem, because after I started having like lots of projects, and I never felt like anxious anymore because I was quite busy. I don't like not being busy. I'm a type of person that I always have something to do. I'm never sitting at the office not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, never. I don't remember last time I had an hour of nothing. So I think that was an amazing project. I don't feel like I've been all the way to the end of that project. I had other projects that I wanted to do, but I didn't manage to do because then I had more and more projects coming up, and it's just a lack of time.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's just like limited by the time, and I cannot work like days and nights. I know how to find that balance of being off work to refill my brain with like new ideas and everything.
But you need to.
I
you
have
need
to.
to.
Yeah.
Yesterday, so I had taken many notes before, but I was supposed to finalize the narrative, even though I'm reading just very slightly. But I was supposed to finish it yesterday night about my schedule, and I came back home at 8:45, which was terribly late for me. And I said, okay, I cannot work now. Because if I work now, despite the fact that I might think I'm prepared, I'm going to rest badly. And tomorrow I'm going to be a little bit on edge, and maybe the conversation is not going to come out as well. So I just took my iPad, started experimenting with some brushes of a sketchbook, trying to paint. I don't know how to paint. I just do it for therapy.
Okay.
And I started and putting music. Like I like to look for weird music and just spend time either.
What is a weird music for you?
Yesterday I started looking at old versions of songs that we think are super original and that define the music that we have today. And luckily on internet nowadays you can find a lot of these cross references. So for example, did you know that Nevermind by Nirvana is actually a copy?
Really?
Yeah, it was very disappointing. Actually, I mean, it's not like a copycat, but the original one is super nice. I'll show it to you later. It was part of the playlist I was listening to when you came to the office. And when I'm in airplanes, which happens quite often, I like to, before I used to work and do emails and so on. Now I make a point of not doing anything, and then the brain starts unraveling,
creating,
and I have a lot of ideas. So you need to take a rest.
To lose the control sometimes is also a good way to let things go in a natural way, rather than controlling everything, working extremely hard on something, and then sometimes the result is not as good as when you're a little bit less prepared and you welcome like
100%
things that
100%. But I think you need to be too mature to arrive to that
wiser,
conclusion.
maybe.
I maybe that's a little bit presumptuous on my side, but older, let's say older. What I was asking Emma last week about your elevator project, the one that you have the 4 seasons, and she mentioned she was not sure if you did it when you were pregnant or you were not pregnant at the time.
No, but I worked until the end of my pregnancy. The last project I did was for Kushti in Litong Avenue, which was a beautiful smile, Asian woman with a smile. And I was 35 weeks on top of my ladder with my spray paint and
Wow.
my mask, and everyone was like smoking around me, and I was like, guys, seriously, I'm pregnant. They were like looking at me like, what are you doing on site? I'm like, yeah, I have a schedule. I need to finish all of my project before delivering. So
35.
yes, and I delivered like 37 weeks.
I don't think if you were not super in shape that you would be able to do that.
So I tell you something. I had a midwife that was following me at the time, and she's amazing, Sophie. She's also a runner, and I was feeling guilty for being that active during my pregnancy, and because I was standing all day long from the beginning to the end of my pregnancy. I never ever been on my seat in front of my computer like doing like computer work. I was just like on site. I worked for the Aubry in London, which we had to produce like beautiful like chinoiserie artworks, and I was just like, Kushti was one of them, standing all day long, being on the ladder and everything. And actually, she was telling me, like, Elsa, don't feel guilty. In the past, women, they were just working in the field.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and they were very active the entire time of the pregnancy. So I think now it's not normal to be sitting on the chair. So I think you're doing well. Just stop feeling guilty for it. I was like, okay, yes. You put things on a different perspective, and you're completely right. So yeah.
No, totally.
But I was cycling, and I was running up the peak until 7 months of my pregnancy, and doing 50K on Lentau until 7 months as well.
50K?
Yeah. Every weekend.
I imagine that after you delivered, you started going way faster.
So, yeah, it was much lighter. But I
Wow.
had to adapt. So that's something like you have to evolve with your time as well. And I did a podcast about it as well in the past. And the fact that before we thought that being pregnant, you had to rest all the time. And I think it's not true. If you're a runner and if you're pregnant and you want to keep on running, you can keep on running. You just need to adapt, and you need to listen to your body. And if you're a runner, you're very tuned to your body. You know when something is wrong. You know when you can push. You know when you have to go slower. And especially when you have a baby that you carry, you really like listening to every single details. You're like, oh, today I can't breathe properly. Okay, I just go slower. I used to do like that before because I did like 10,000 times going to the peak. Today I don't feel good. I just slow down. I feel good. I go a little bit further. I go a little bit faster. So yeah, that's...
No, that's super. This sensibility... No. This sensibility within your body, I think it's not only inwards. Let me make an interpretation of how you see things, because I want you to either say I'm right or correct me. Again, studying you, when staying in the commission work, you have done super different styles.
Yeah.
Japanese ink painting,
Everything.
abstract natural landscapes, of course a lot of portraits.
Paints, editing, street art.
Which one? I know that commission work for artists is more painful than personal work. Which one of these styles is less painful for you? Do you enjoy the most?
Mine, for sure. It's more intuitive. I've been really like pleased, and I'm still pleased to provide finishes, decor, whatever like you call it, artwork, murals, anything, to my clients, because I feel like each and every client has probably like bring something to me in terms of experience, in terms of technique. I've been practicing everything before. And then I reached my 40s, and I realized that I was able to produce everything to everyone, but I was not able to find my own style. I found my style when I did some street art to bring smiley faces. I think it's 100% my style. But I cannot define myself by just doing like smiley faces. This is not only me. I've been creating texture when I was 14 years old in my dad's company. He gave me a wall and it was like, Elsa, you want to work with stucco? You want to explore different techniques? I buy the material. You have the wall. You do whatever you want. And then, so I was 14, maybe 13, 14. And I always been obsessed by texture work, by how the light will interact with the texture, which tool I will use to make specific finish and everything. And back to my 40s, pregnancy, 39, delivered. And then after that, I felt like, okay, I need to step back from my sites because I can keep on doing the same, creating all kind of decor, but I don't know what is my style. So I need to step back to find my style, which, like you said before, like you love something, you work on a little bit on something here. It's like a puzzle, you know, you develop different pieces. And at some point you have to put all the pieces together. And the fact that you've been working on those pieces for many years, then you group things together and it looks like an artwork, a puzzle, and it's actually your own puzzle because it's actually your own pieces. But it took you many years to find this artwork. So for me to define, and I'm still evolving, but to work on my latest project. So I've been designing the French residence ceiling, and it was completely like the French consul told me, I want you to do something and I will give you freedom. So I designed something, and that's actually, you can see on my Instagram page. She never changed anything. She said, yeah, love it, do it. And then after that, I received lots of new projects because people liked it. And then I worked on other projects. That was actually the designer didn't want to touch my style, which is very rare. And it took me maybe 40 years to reach that level. So at some point, you have to step back, work on your own style, and show to the world, this is my own style. So I've been doing my first exhibition last summer, and then kept on developing other artwork with my texture work, and then reach other clients, other projects. So I'm now like working off-site, creating artworks, and on-site, doing my artwork on-site for like very luxury brands, like Louis Vuitton is one of them. I did their office recently, the main entrance wall, and they haven't touched any of my work. So I sent the sketch based on my latest like collection, and they were like, love it, just do it. So I've been very like looking forward to reach this. I know there's way more to discover, but I'm already very happy with where I am today.
When you just mentioned Louis Vuitton, I'm just going to grab that last part, even though later I will circle because I have some questions of some of your private work. Does the same thrill of working, let me rephrase, the thrill of working for a client and having to deliver in a quite a short time, does it wear off with time? Do you get used to it? Or, for example, in cases in which you're talking about such a big clients as LV, the pressure rises up again. How do you experience that collaboration with such an important brand, knowing that the exposure is going to be probably very big?
So it's interesting, like each and every client is different, different experience. I have also my experience in Hong Kong, and not only Hong Kong, and now I'm kind of well trained. I can manage a couple of projects together. Some will take less time than others. The more people involved in the project, the more you have like different decision maker, and it can take forever. Usually when I go on site, it takes just a week or 2 weeks. So it's kind of like pretty easy in a way. I just have to deal with the technical problems and that's it, which now it's kind of okay. But to design and to agree on something that can be like quite time consuming from one client to the other. So I don't have any standard. Well, I do have, sorry, it's a little bit confusing, but usually the client comes and tells like, okay, we have that wall, this size, I will send quotation, they approve, we start working on the concept. It takes a week for me to deliver the concept. and I can work on different concepts at the same time as well, which sometimes I have ideas, I know what to do. Some other time I don't know what to do. I need a little bit more time. I need to explore. I need to, especially when it's not in my comfort zone. And even though if it's in my comfort zone, like to create my texture, which is more my style and everything, I still want to do, I don't like to repeat the same thing. So I always want to challenge myself and to find something else. So it takes a little bit of time to develop, to search, to create. I feel like I'm well trained now. I'm getting where I'm kind of okay. And I have a team with me as well. So now I don't have to work on each and every project. I do have people helping me, which is better. And I keep my signature artwork texture for myself.
Can I ask you a little secret that goes hand in hand with a confession? This morning I watched the video of the Louis Vuitton wall 10 times, trying to find out the hidden secrets in the wall that you mentioned on your Instagram, and I couldn't find them. I should have printed the caption of the post. It's like, can you see the hidden elements? And I spent 10 times looking at them, and I could not find them.
I forgot which post, but I can tell you.
And I said, tell me later. Because I was like, is it me that I'm stupid? Or, and out of honesty, I wanted to confess it afterwards. On the note of your team, how do you find people that are skilled enough and I imagine have ambition that is greater than their ego to be able to dedicate themselves to produce work that belongs to you at the end of the day?
I will tell you something that sounds maybe a bit sad, but I've been running my company since 2015, and before I had another company with a business partner for another 3 years. I've learned something very important. When you have your company, the only person is like staying in the company, it's you, and the rest, people will come and go.
Yeah.
And you have to be detached. Because if you're really attached to those people, you feel extremely sad when they leave for personal reason, or when you get too excited about having an artist that will finally release a little bit of pressure, like will help you on site and everything, but that person will actually get everything she can from your company and then set up another company next door.
Yep.
So I've been disappointed many times, and I've been learning to just like embrace the fact that the door is open. The people wants to come in, they stay. Whenever they want, they can leave. I'm not holding on anything. That's my...
it's part of life.
It's life.
I get.
And it's the same like relationship, friendship and everything. So especially when you have a company, you feel like, okay, you train someone, you put so much energy in it, you give all of your, your kind of tips and everything. And then the person is just like, okay, could transfer that and set up her own company and do the same and steal your clients. In my situation, I feel like whatever I give, I just don't regret. It's, it's just at least that person will evolve. She will get her own thing, and then I've been someone good at some point, so I feel like okay with it. So yeah, it's not easy to find the right person in Hong Kong. I feel like in France you do have, and other places, other countries. I speak about France because I'm French, but you do have lots of schools in France who trains special painter, which in Hong Kong you don't. Mm-hmm. You only have one school that are actually like, the school is training more like stage, I don't know the name, stage designer. So they will do decor, but like more like rough, and it's not as precious, as refined as what you can find in France. And then I do have to train the person, spend hours and hours and hours showing my work. I think the best training is to go on site. So I know that the person will be eventually ready after 3 years. It's a pretty long training. And even though after 3 years, there's no one project that I approach thinking that, I know everything, I will do it, and it's done.
Yep.
There's always something to learn.
Mhm.
Even after that I've been on site many times, there's always a problem somewhere. And it's only your experience that will manage to find the solution. So if you put someone new coming out of the school, even after 3 years, might not be able to find the way to make it or deliver on time, because it's another problem in Hong Kong. You need to do everything in such a rush.
Yes.
Especially F&B. They have the site for like, let's say a month and a half. And within that time, you have to work with all the contractors, like all the workers at the same time. You need to do such a refined work. But next to you, the guy is painting the ceiling. The guy like on the floor is like destroying the concrete, installing eventually the tiles. And you feel like you're working on a wild zone.
Yeah.
So
against nature.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no, so yeah, it's quite challenging. Like Hong Kong is not an easy place to work on site. But it's fun as well.
Yes, when I was talking to Antimo, hello Antimo. Antimo is my favorite chef in Hong Kong.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I'm very biased because
True.
because of many things that he knows.
I was pregnant.
During Antimo.
And I got sick.
Oh no.
Like I ended up
way.
in hospital that week. Yeah, food poisoning.
No,
Yeah, and pregnant, so that's why I ended up at the hospital, because I was really scared.
No, I asked him something.
Yeah.
When I came, when he was sitting also in that chair. It's like, Antimo, how do you change the hat from creativity to being able to deliver consistently? Because there are two mindsets that don't look alike. And it's something that amazes me of people like you, that you are able to, yes, bring the creativity, but then at the same time deliver it in a business way, no? And
it's very challenging.
Yeah.
I was complaining about that last week with my colleague, and I was like a bit mad. It's so hard. I don't want to say the F word, but it's so hard to, every single day, I know I have 1 hour to work on that concept, and then I have 2 hours to do this and 1 hour to do that. And I hate that time limit. And because in between, my colleague will tell me, oh, the quotation, can you give me this? Yes. And then the marketing colleague was like, can I post it? And then the other colleague asking question, and then my phone and WhatsApp and this and that. At the end of the day, I spend my entire day like dealing with other things that the most important was for me to create, because I bring the money to this company. So I need to be on site. But in order to be on site, I need to create. I need to deliver the concept.
Sure.
And every day I deal with so many other things. So, and I feel like I've been trained to switch from one hat to the other.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's so frustrating, because I wish I could get more time in my zone. And that's when I love working on an exhibition. There's no project. I just put everything aside. In my studio, like on the other side of the studio, the messy side, the dirty one. And I close the door. I put my noise cancelling. My music is on. And they know that no one is supposed to disturb me.
Mm-hmm.
And I really have a block of like 4 hours that I can work on something. Mm-hmm. And I can isolate myself, but it's hard.
Yes, I can imagine. Do you work? So you work alone in your personal projects? When in the private collection, the staff doesn't touch anything. It's you 100%.
Yeah.
It must be a good rest for your brain.
It's amazing. It's a very new experience to me. The feeling of like trying to dig inside and find something and deliver something. It's like giving birth. And it's quite strong as well. Like I remember my first exhibition, I really had tears when I saw all of my babies on the walls. I was just like, it took me 40 years. Okay, not 40 years. I was not born like dreaming about an exhibition, but you know what I mean?
Yes.
I was not feeling confident enough before to work on an exhibition. I felt like I was good at understanding what my clients wanted to have. I was good to deliver, to create something for them with the needs. But it took me an extra level, an extra step to really like look at what I wanted to express and which direction I would go. And I started with the name of the exhibition was Reminiscence, and it was all about my childhood and all this blurry memory of like places so in south of France. So it's all about nature. You have a blue, like Mediterranean blue. A lot of woody, and all of the artwork, I had a little caption next to it with a little story of me as a child describing certain feelings of being in the neck of my mom. As a child, you feel like texture of something soft. The smell is like sweet. The skin is very smooth. And that's something I try to explain in my exhibition. All the texture work was based on sensation I had when I was a child. When it's hot, south of France, summertime, it can be really, really hot. So I worked a lot with rust, which for me was this natural oxidation as well. The fact that it's brown, it's hot, it's, So it was amazing to work on that first exhibition and to be with myself, with my own memory, with like trying to really look back. And I was just like, I gave birth just a year before. So I kind of like felt like, okay, I've been through a certain cycle with my own child, and I try to connect with my inner child with this exhibition. That's how I started. And yeah, it was something like very a pivot in my career. And then after I created the Oscillation, the monochrome collection, that is actually very successful now. So I'm really happy.
I believe that when you have a child, you get a unique chance to to double up your life, because you circle back. And when I was looking at especially the color palettes that you use, with a few exceptions though, because every now and then you put like an electric blue here and there, but most of them is what you would imagine of Mediterranean coast, earth, tan, this type of colors, even the light blue of the sky at maybe noon, not 2, because 2 then becomes probably the electric blue, but no, it's something beautiful. And that's why when I was looking at the work that you did in Estro together with Andre Fu, I didn't know if at that time you were doing something for a commission, or you were doing something that was more in line with your collections, because the Estro at the end of the day is a Napolitan living room, and the colors of Napoli, with few differences, are, let's say, have a distant relationship, are like cousins with the south of France. How was the experience of working with Andre Fu in that project?
So it's very interesting. So as I said before, like you work your entire career and you develop puzzles, and I think texture work has always been something very important in my career from the beginning. And then when Andre contacted me for that project with a different brief, not the overall brief was still the same, but they wanted to have a different mural. And then we kept on working, developing things, and then I ended up designing this. And I bring my experience into the work. So he didn't know if I will develop like plaster work or if it will be like painted, so he gave me the freedom to. The overall concept was approved by the client and Andre, but then after I had the freedom to bring my own techniques.
No, it's beautiful.
And it was before the exhibition,
No, very nice. There are another couple of works that are, let's say, again, I imagine commissions in which I see that there is. I don't know whether it's an Elsa Jeandedieu or it's a work for the client. One of them, it's a coffling for that you did together with JJ, in which I think just the fresco ceilings are just so nice. And the other one, which I think is I don't know the name of the person. You call him on Instagram Alfieman827, which is it's a ceiling as well, in which I don't know, maybe I was making too much of it, and I wanted to ask you if my intuition is true. You see a little bit of Joan Miró in the way you cross shapes.
So JGS project with Cofiline, purely commission artwork. So they had the concept, they approached me as we know you can do it, do it. I didn't put too much my creativity in it. It's just the execution was where I was feeling confident to do it, because I've done a lot of things like that before. Alfred is a designer, well-known designer in Hong Kong, and he saw my work at the French consulate, which was my original creation. And he told me, like, I want your work. I want Elsa Jeandedieu in my living room. He had like a pretty, like, everything was already designed in his, it was not like a new, when people move in, they want to have like everything designed and freshly like installed and new mural, new everything. He was living in his flat for many years, and he just wanted to have one of my pieces on his ceiling. And I did something, and it was like, love it, do it.
No, it's
so
super
yeah.
nice.
It was really like my personality with my approach, with the texture I've been creating, working on. So yeah.
No, it's super nice.
And then I worked for his sister just after, and then for another client after, and then on site for him for another client. So yeah.
Now I understand.
Pretty good clients.
Now I understand why you are so super busy. And then there is one thing that I have to admit, it got me a little bit emotional. Now, I am the type of person that I cry a lot in movies. I don't cry a lot.
Too.
I don't cry a lot in normal life. I don't cry a lot about things that happen to me. I have like a block, like a tear block. But I cry about the stories of others. And I was looking at this, and I was reading, and my eyes started watering a little bit, which is the project that you did for Baby Freya, which is a super striking piece. And the thing is this: is not only the piece itself, because the piece itself, like the abstract evolution from the real portrait. By the way, when we are talking about all of this, the audience is going to be seeing the images, because I think it makes total sense.
Important to connect, yes.
There is an evolution for the portrait into the abstract shapes, and then there is the golden, let's say, sort of like the thunderstruck in the middle. How easy was it from an emotional point of view for you to work on that project? Because I am emotional now talking about it, and I just found about it very recently. I imagine that for you, how do you detach from it and are able to deliver something like that?
Wow. I
got emotional again.
And I will get emotional too. I think I have to explain the story from the beginning, because there's more layers to that. The week I've met Freya's dad, Ali, I discovered I lost a baby. I was pregnant last year. Well, it was a blighted ovum, so technically there were no baby, but I lost the idea of like being pregnant. The same week, something really bad happened to my husband's country, which was pretty heavy. And the same week, I agreed on meeting Ali. And I had that huge guy, this ball of energy in front of me. I've met him. He knew me because he bought like prints from my other company on Paper Lab. So he knew who I was, and he contacted me because he knew what he wanted from me. And just the fact that, and it's not the first time, people are contacting me because I have that talent that can create a memory of something. I felt so lucky. I felt like I'm not a doctor, I'm not saving life, right? I'm just adding colors to people's lives. So I'm like, okay, it's very simple, very light, and But to know that my job could bring me to another level of energy, of connection with people, with a deeper meaning. When Ali contacted me, we had that coffee. He was very emotional, explaining to me like what happened to Freya, and the fact that he wanted to keep memory of Freya. We don't know how long she will live. It's pretty painful for them. But I'm so impressed to see how, and that's the goal you can see on the artwork, that from something extremely painful, and sorry, I'm a little bit shaky, but something that a very traumatic experience, you can convert that pain into something like 1,000 times bigger, of like helping the world, awareness about what Freya has, and that's what he does. So what I did for them, it's really nothing. I'm really like, but the fact that I was connected to them, connected to my child as well on my own level, like how lucky I am to have a child that is in a good health. That's the first lesson.
Yes, 100%.
So that's where I felt so lucky to meet him. After that, you go back home, not the same. You're not the same person. And then when I start working on the artwork, it was not an artwork to put in the street. It was an artwork for them that I gave for free. It was just my gift to them. So this gift is not going to release any pain, right? It's not going to didn't change anything in their life, but that experience was the most meaningful for me as an artist. If I had to get only this kind of experience, it's very heavy. It's quite like emotional. But I feel like so meaningful compared to other projects where I'm just like painting, delivering things. And yeah, this kind of project, you feel like, okay, later on, I want to spend more time. And I have that deep inside. I want to use my talent differently at some point. I wish to heal people, maybe with my art. I wish to add something else to people's life. And I do a lot of charity work in Hong Kong, whether it's Love 21, which I bring like smiley faces to their centers. So those kids, they have every day like a smiley face. I don't bring much. I just bring an artwork to their place. But at least I feel like I bring something, right, to this world of it's not always happy and it's not always...
Maybe to you it doesn't feel like a lot because and I think that's humble from the people saying it, but I believe that those little gestures to the people on the other side mean the world. They change the day, and this is and that's something very admirable. So I take my hat off because in a city in which things are very expensive, things move very fast, you have a real pressure to deliver, so then you can provide for your family, for your children. Being able to find out, to carve out time to make a difference can be minimal, can be huge. At the beginning, probably can only be so tiny, but then it will evolve and it will change. I disagree. I think you did something beautiful, and not a lot of people are able to do it. So
I encourage people to do like charity work. I did my first charity mission with Habitat for Humanity many years ago in Nepal. So as you can imagine, I'm working on sites almost like all year long and dusty and everything area, which is not the most pleasant. But I decided to go on my holiday to Nepal and to build a house. Working with bamboo and just like smashing my hands all day long and sweating my life. And I was like, this is not a holiday. I'm weird. But actually I realized by giving, you receive much more than what you give. So I gave my time, but I received so much more from the people living there. And I realized that actually every time I think I'm the one giving, I'm actually the one receiving even more than I give. I don't know what I mean,
no,
if you understand what I mean, but for like Ali or for other projects that I had, charity work, I give my time, which is like, yes, it's money that I don't make for other projects, but and I don't do it for recognition or anything. I'm just like, I'm doing it, and I rarely go back, and I don't need people to tell me, oh, I love it and thank you so much. Like, no, I just give it. It's very genuine, and this is not my space. This is for those people, and I feel like I received the experience of doing it by being connected with those people, whoever they are. It's really like giving you until the end of your life such a beautiful lesson, because at some point you're connected with them through your art. So I think it's pretty amazing.
No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Elsa,
Yes.
this conversation was everything I thought it was going to be, and many more. I am enjoying a lot.
Same.
I will. Now that I feel like I know a little bit more, I will follow with more enthusiasm what you do in the future. Among all of those things that I know you have in the pipeline, can you share something with the audience? Where can we expect seeing you in the future?
I have not only two, I have many interesting projects coming up. I have a very large project in Taiwan for Capella with Andre Fu. It's going to be my biggest project so far. So it's my texture work. So it's signature work. I'm very proud that they selected this for their project. And it's going to be 4 walls, 15 meters high by something like 2 something wide. So we're going to be like working on scaffolding. I will have a team. I'm not going to work on my own, plus another area. So it's going to be like very center part of the project, which I'm very proud. I have few projects with Louis Vuitton coming up, Times Square, the shop in Times Square. I have Louis Vuitton in Macau coming up at Four Seasons with Andre Fu as well, who designed the place. I have a project for French Bank in Sydney coming up, which is very exciting.
Wow.
And they picked my signature artwork as well. So the fact that I stopped working and stopped showing on Instagram the other project and focusing on my style.
Yes.
So now I'm really attracting people that wants to have my style, which is like super exciting.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I hope to one day be able to give the vibe that you're giving me right now of super satisfaction, super fulfillment.
Thank you.
All the best of luck. You are
you.
visiting a lot of beautiful places. Sydney, Macau, Taiwan. Super nice.
US maybe soon, I don't know.
And so yeah, I mean, if you ever want to come back in the future and share about many different projects, the door is always open. In the meantime, I thank you for your time. It was lovely, and for the people watching this, this is still the date of publishing is going to be decided. Has to be decided because we are bundle recording now. Will be some time around end of October, but it will be on a Friday. So happy weekend for everyone. Thank you for sticking to the end. To those of you who made it, and even to those of you who stayed for 1 or 2 minutes, just go check hard work on Instagram, but please not only Instagram. Try to look at the real thing, because at the end of the day, this is one of the things that get better when you see with your 2 eyes. Yes. Thank you, Elsa, one more time. Thank you, everyone. Be happy. Ciao. All right.
Amazing.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it's so cool. I like the fact that I have to say, the fact that we're chill and it's long.